Most traveling 9 to 5ers working demanding jobs will tell you that work trips completely derail their fat loss progress. They come back feeling bloated, exhausted, and feeling like they've erased weeks worth of hard work. But what if I told you that my clients that work in high performance roles actually maintain and even accelerate their fat loss progress during their work trips? Take Steve, for example, a network engineer working 50-plus-hour weeks, lost 30 pounds in 2 months and lost all his belly fat right before traveling for his wedding, where he was gone for 2 weeks. And he did not gain back a single pound, and he continued to lose more even while he was traveling. The best part is that he did not have to count or restrict a single calorie or do a second of cardio in order to maintain and accelerate that progress. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how men and women in demanding 9 to 5 roles can not only maintain but accelerate their fat loss progress even while traveling for their work trips. Without a gym, without counting calories, without sacrificing client dinners or dinners at networking events, so you can continue to stay consistent without feeling like the white elephant in the room that feels left out at any of these client dinners, work meetings, or any vacations with your family. My name is Bobby O'Brien, and for the past 3+ years, I've helped dozens of men and women working full-time and demanding careers lose body fat without counting or restricting a single calorie or without doing a second of cardio. My clients work in roles that require intense energy and focus just like yours, such as sales, engineering, tech, working in the executive level, working at the management level, and many other demanding fields that require a lot of your time, energy, and attention that at times may be taken away from your health. Now I'm here to show you exactly how we can turn that around and fix that while managing your demanding career. Today, I'm going to give you the exact travel system that will allow you to stay consistent and see more fat loss progress, whether you're gone for 2 days or 2 weeks. We're going to cover 3 critical areas: insulin-focused nutrition strategies for travel, how to use minimal equipment workout tactics that fit into your busy schedule, and how to manage client dinners without completely derailing your progress. The reason why most travel advice fails for busy 9 to 5ers that are looking to stay consistent with their fitness is because it relies heavily on calorie counting and obsessive tracking, which becomes nearly impossible to do whenever you're eating out at different restaurants, attending client dinners, or you're trying to grab something on the go. But the key is not about controlling calories, it's about controlling insulin, the hormone that literally determines whether you store fat or you burn it. Let me make this super simple. When insulin is high, you store fat, but when insulin is low, you burn fat and you use it for energy. And this fundamental principle does not change even if you're traveling. So here are my 4 insulin-focused strategies that you can use whenever you're traveling. First is pre-travel preparation. 24 to 48 hours before flying, focus on higher fat, higher protein animal foods that are going to make you feel full and keep insulin low. Protein is nice because it gives you a good, healthy insulin response, which is one that goes up and goes back down just as fast as it comes up. And that's exactly the type of insulin response that we want. And what we do not want is any foods that spike insulin and keep it elevated for a long period of time, such as any processed carbohydrates or processed sugars that cause this response. But what we don't want is a response that goes up and then it stays elevated for hours on end, and we end up putting ourselves in a position to store fat. And what usually causes this is any sort of processed carbohydrates or processed sugars, no matter what your fat loss goal is. Having a simple breakfast like some scrambled eggs with a side of avocado is great for you to meal prep to help you stay consistent while you're at the airport or while you're getting ready for your flight, because it takes little to no time to make, and it's going to help keep insulin low, and it's going to help prime your metabolism as well, which allows your body to handle the stress and all the other temptations that are going to be thrown at you once you start traveling. Now, the second is airport and airplane food selection. Most airport food is designed to spike insulin and keep it elevated for a long period of time, which is exactly the type of response that we do not want. The longer insulin is elevated for, the more likely we are to store fat. And the different types of foods that cause this response is processed carbs and processed sugars, pastries, sandwiches, kolaches. So instead, look for protein sources that are quick to grab, taste great, and are still going to help keep insulin low. Any sort of full-fat Greek yogurt, any sort of on-the-go meat snack or a jerky, or even grabbing a rotisserie chicken or some sort of grab-and-go animal protein option and putting it into a container right before your flight is going to put you in a prime position to eat that instead of the cookies and the pretzels and the other processed carbs that they're going to hand out on your flight. That's why it's so important to be prepared rather than reactive once you actually go on your flight. So you actually have some epic provisions, some rotisserie chicken, ground beef, or any other pre-made, quick, easy to make, healthy animal food ready to go so you can say no to any other temptations that come your way. And number 3 is you want to have the right foods in your hotel room. So within an hour of arriving, find the closest grocery store or use a delivery app such as Uber Eats to get hard-boiled eggs, rotisserie chicken, Greek yogurt, naturally sourced carbs such as blueberries, avocados, raspberries, pears, and just stack the odds in your favor to have as many of the healthy foods that you can ready to go and ready to eat, so you can eat those foods and know that they cannot go to waste, instead of overeating any foods that would put you in a position to store fat while you're traveling or at any of these work events. This completely prevents the "I'm starving and I need hotel room service pizza right now." Not going to happen if you have all the right foods ready to go in your hotel room. Now, number 4 is restaurant meal navigation. When ordering, focus on eating a higher fat, higher protein animal food as the main course and eating nothing but naturally sourced carbs on the side that would be classified as a fruit, vegetable, or some rice. Just remember though that any sort of butter, olive oil, avocado oil, or any fat on its own is not going to cause a response from insulin if you decide to add that to your main course. So even if I were to eat a whole stick of butter, I will not see a response from the hormone that causes me to store fat, because there's no sugar in fat alone. So therefore, if you eat olive oil or butter by itself or any other fat source that is healthy from monounsaturated or saturated fat by itself, you will not see a response from insulin when you eat it. So adding it to your main course to complement the foods you're looking to stay consistent with is certainly going to help make the foods that you choose taste a whole lot better. And make the simple modifications that you know you need to make. Go for the red potatoes, the grilled asparagus instead of the bread on the side, and just keep processed carbs to a minimum. And adding any sort of naturally sourced single ingredient side orders to your main course is certainly going to help as well. Getting white queso, guacamole, sour cream, grilled vegetables, pico de gallo, or any other naturally sourced fruit or vegetable, or even a dairy option like white queso, is certainly going to complement the main course that you choose. And the best part is that you're not going to look like the white elephant in the room if you end up ordering al pastor, an animal food, as your main course with a side of white queso and guacamole that you end up pouring onto your main course, mixing together, and you have a very, very healthy yet enjoyable meal. And if anything, your friend or coworker is going to ask you what you got and why you got it, and he may regret what he ended up ordering with the grilled tamales. Whenever Dion goes to any of these restaurants, he will send me the menu of the restaurant that he goes to, and I will give him 5 meal options that is in alignment with his plan, that is enjoyable, that he can pick from the menu. So that way he has his own mini menu as well that he can follow, instead of all the other temptations that are on the bigger menu. And if you're looking for the same level of accountability and guidance and you want to see results just like Dion, you can click the link down below in the video description to book a call with me to see if I can help you customize a strategy that's going to work for you and your busy schedule as well. Now, another pro tip you can use is to tell your waiter or waitress that you're actually allergic to seed oils, or at least tell them that you cannot eat them. Now, many of these restaurants actually cook their animal foods in vegetable oils, which instantaneously turns into trans fat, which you do not need me to tell you is unhealthy. So if you can, try and ask your waiter or waitress to cook your food in butter if it's possible, if you're looking to go that extra mile to ensure that whatever you're eating is 100% going to put you in a position to continue to lose fat. This simple swap allows you to completely bulletproof the meal that you're about to eat at this restaurant, since there is going to be nothing in the meal that you're eating that is going to put you in a position to store fat or induce any bit of inflammation. Now, if you're working a demanding full-time 9-to-5 role and you're on a work trip, the last thing you want to do is any sort of vigorous, unsustainable cardio at your hotel gym. Good news is that you don't need a full gym to yourself in order to continue to build muscle and lose body fat, and you do not need to do a second of cardio either, and this is perfect, especially when you're pressed for time as well, which you most likely are. Weight training is the foundation of an approach that allows you to boost your muscle mass while creating a sustainable routine that you can literally follow from anywhere in the world. Anytime you boost your muscle mass, you will boost your metabolism as a result, because now the demand for fuel is higher than it was before when you did not have as much muscle. And it's much easier to do weight training at a hotel gym or even in your hotel room with body weight versus running on the treadmill for 45 minutes at your hotel gym, or doing any sort of high intensity interval training in your hotel room or at a conventional gym while you're away traveling. The ideal training volume for the majority of my clients anyway is anywhere between 90 to 120 minutes max, and you can still target each muscle group individually while training this much, as long as you are utilizing your time the right way, which is your absolute greatest asset here. And that is 100% sustainable even if you got a packed work schedule and you got nothing but client meetings and client dinners at these different work events when you're traveling. So even if you don't have any sort of equipment or you don't even have a hotel gym, here's a 15-minute hotel workout that you can do that is full body that will allow you to target each muscle group in a span of 15 minutes and still get the benefits that you need from exercise. 30 seconds of a modified push-up with your hands on the bed, 30 seconds of bodyweight squat, 30 seconds of chair dips for your triceps, 30 seconds of split squats on each leg, and then a 30-second plank to top it all off. Now, is this the perfect workout and do you want to do it all the time? No, of course not. But it is much better than doing nothing. And it is a great option, especially when you're looking to stay consistent when you're not at home. All you have to do is do 3 sets for each one of these exercises, 30 seconds per muscle group, and that will allow you to knock this out within 12 to 15 minutes, even if you're resting anywhere between 30 to 45 seconds. You can obviously scale up the intensity and tweak it depending on what your limitations are and what your goals are. You can obviously make some tweaks based off your pre-existing injuries, limitations, your fat loss goal, physical activity, and all those things put together to make a routine customized to you. But the point is that you can absolutely create a very quick, easy to knock out, sustainable workout routine that you can do in 12 to 15 minutes, literally from anywhere, even if you don't have any sort of equipment. Just remember, more than anything, the intensity and the progressive overload, adding weight to each set and adding more resistance as you go are going to be the most important factors for helping you build more muscle so you can boost your metabolic rate without having to do a second of cardio. My client Chris, who went from 236 to 183 pounds in less than a year, maintained his progress while following a weight training based approach very similar to this, where he did not have to do a second of cardio because he focused on targeting each muscle group each week, staying consistent no matter where he was with the right system and routine, and ensuring that he was actually moving up in weight to the point to where he got to a 7 out of 10 intensity, where it was managing yet doable, so he can continue to see results with the routine that he was following, and then do so without falling off or without feeling like he could not stick to it. Cardio certainly has its benefits. You can certainly boost your heart rate, you can boost your endurance, but when fat loss is your #1 priority, cardio alone should not be a priority for you, since you're not necessarily boosting your muscle mass, so you're not necessarily boosting your metabolism as much either. Keep the main thing, and ensure that you do that no matter where you are. And you can do that without any sort of equipment and without doing a second of cardio if you have the right systems and mindset set in place. Literally, all you need is your own body and the mindset knowing that you need to commit to making a change no matter what your work schedule looks like. Now, when it comes to managing client dinners and network events, this is where many end up falling off and losing consistency. The big question is, how do I navigate the social pressure of staying consistent with my routine without feeling like this white elephant in the room? The first thing to understand is that one meal will not make or break your progress, and it's more so the timing of that meal and what specifically you order. Before dinner, if you know you're gonna have a little bit more carbohydrates and unnatural foods whenever you go out to eat, make sure you prepare it by eating a higher fat and higher protein animal food, some sort of grab-and-go meat snack, Greek yogurt, or any other options that we mentioned earlier right before you go out. This takes the edge off a little bit. It allows you to get a little bit more full before you even go out to eat. It prevents any sort of overeating, and it puts you in a prime position to get a good initial insulin response, so you don't end up being in a more likely position to store fat later on when you do go out to eat. Whenever you're ready to order at any of these restaurants, make sure that you have a higher fat and higher protein option in mind, ready to go. Steak, eggs, lamb, ground beef, chicken, or any other animal food as the main course, just like we mentioned earlier, and be sure to eat that first before you have any other processed carbohydrate or any other food that would spike insulin and keep it elevated. Because a person that went 12 hours without eating is going to be more sensitive to a stronger response from insulin, since their body hasn't seen food in 12 hours. Now, the person that already had a higher fat, higher protein animal food option already got a response from insulin from the protein content. Now, with the second example, that person is not going to be as likely to store fat because they already got a good initial response from insulin by eating the higher protein option. So whenever they have that processed carb right after it, they are in more of a prime position to handle it because insulin has already responded to the fuel that has come in, and now it's a bit more receptive. And there's been research on the subject as well, showing that whenever you have a higher protein option first, and then you have your carbohydrates second, or even a processed carb, you're in a much more likely position to not store fat versus somebody that has their carbs or their processed carbs first, because you're much more likely to get a strong blood sugar or insulin response going 12 hours without eating and then eating that straight away versus breaking your fast, or breaking that eating window with some animal foods first and then having the carbohydrates or processed carbs second. So be sure to mimic that exact same strategy whenever you go out to eat at any of these restaurants or at any of these networking events. Now, when it comes to alcohol, it is best to have an alcoholic beverage after eating if it's possible because of the same reasoning, getting a good initial response from insulin. But when it comes down to choosing spirits or beer, it's basically like asking the same question of, should you hit yourself in the head with a wooden bat or a steel bat? Nonetheless, you are still getting hit in the head with a bat regardless. It's really just going to be about which poison do you want to pick. They're both equally as bad. They're going to put you in a position to store fat most likely, or at least put you in a position to induce some level of inflammation or cause some level of issues. Alcohol obviously is not good for you, and the less of it that you have in your life, the better. But if you're going to choose an option, it is better to go with a spirit if you can and keep that to a minimum and try and choose a low alcohol concentration. If you end up at a very important network event where everyone is drinking, sure, go ahead and grab one order of a drink, but it should not be anything more than that. But you should try and have that higher fat, higher protein animal option first for the same exact reasons we went over earlier, just so you can get that good initial insulin response and then consume any sort of alcohol that you may order, but just try and keep it to a minimum. Once again, when it comes to choosing between the two, beer or spirits, wooden bat versus metal bat. Either way, you're getting hit in the head with a bat. It's just the way it is. The day after your client dinner, implement what I like to call the compensation protocol. Extend your natural overnight fast by just 2 hours to ensure that you have additional time to break down the meals and the food that you consume from the night before, and then put yourself in a position to break that fast with a high quality protein option and some naturally sourced carbohydrates that come after that protein option as well. My client Hollis, a college professor who traveled all across the summer and lost over 50 plus pounds working with me over the course of 6 months, used this exact same strategy when it came to meal timing and different dinners that he went to while traveling. Now, the biggest internal shift that you can make for yourself outside of all the strategies and the tactics that I shared in this video is seeing traveling as an opportunity instead of an obstacle. And that is purely mindset. When you're away from your normal environment, you're actually in more control in certain ways. You can create new routines without old triggers. You don't have as much in-home distractions that you would normally have if you weren't traveling. You're able to get all these healthy foods right back to your hotel room without having to worry about your kids or your spouse bringing in some unhealthy foods into the kitchen. You're actually in a whole lot more control, especially when you have the right perspective going into your traveling schedule. And it's more so about the perspective that you have going into the situation versus the situation of traveling itself. Because if you go into your next 2 weeks, 2 days, a week into traveling, and you see this as a huge obstacle that, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to stay consistent just because I'm traveling, then you've already lost the battle. Instead of finding a way to see this as an opportunity for you to stay consistent by making the right choices, staying strategic while still making it fun. So completely throw away the I'll get back on routine whenever I get back from traveling mindset. That mindset is not going to serve you at all whatsoever, and it's only going to keep you stuck where you're at even longer, especially when you know that you have multiple work trips, multiple work events, networking events, and vacations every single year. Instead, ask yourself, how can I make the best choices available to me right now and still create a lifestyle change that I can stay consistent with and enjoy and still have it be an effective strategy that I can follow, whether I'm at home, on vacation in Jamaica, or at a networking event in Europe. It doesn't matter where you are or what you do, it's about how you do it and the strategy and the perspective that you go into that situation with. So to recap, focus on insulin-focused food strategies to keep your insulin levels low so you burn fat for energy instead of store it. Implement brief yet intense resistance training exercises that you can do from anywhere instead of making cardio the main component of your routine. Navigate social situations strategically, especially if you're eating out. And see traveling as an opportunity instead as an obstacle, keeping you from getting to where you want to be. These are the exact same strategies that my clients that I mentioned earlier, such as Steve, Dion, Chris, Hollis, and many others have implemented while managing their demanding 9-to-5 while traveling, yet they still find a way to stay consistent with the routine, with the right strategies, and are able to not only maintain their fat loss progress, but see more of it and accelerate it. If you're working a full-time schedule in a demanding role that demands a lot of time, energy, and attention, and you're ready to stop letting travel derail your progress? Click the link below in the video description if you want to learn more about how I can help you lose belly fat while managing your demanding 9 to 5 without counting calories or doing a second of cardio and staying consistent while traveling. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at itsbobbyobrien. The link to that will be in the middle of the video description. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know down in the comment section if you want me to make more videos like this or another topic you want me to cover in the future. And other than that, I will see you all in the next video.